Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We believe that we are in good situation to have up to 50 million doses this year globally. And I believe we are in a very, very good situation to have 1.3 billion doses globally. I think that likely, based on impact, that will be the greatest medical advance in the last 100 years.
Yeah. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla right there. Huge yesterday. Now, we're focusing on the election. We are a week out of the election. It's behind us now. We're bye-bye. They're still fighting and stuff, but as things start to return back to, okay, well, you guys are going to fight this out in court. There's not a lot of people are going to be able to do about it. And everybody said their piece. And so now it's turning to, it's the holidays. It's the fourth quarters. The reality is people are looking and saying, what is going to happen? 2020, for most people, at best, it's been a wash. For a lot of people, it's been damn near a drowning. And the news we need, well, we need it. We need it good. And this could be it.
90% is a game changer. 90%, now you are hoping to have a tool in your war against this pandemic that could be significantly effective.
Yes. 90% is absolutely a game changer. Speaking to a doctor yesterday who said, look, at 50% is what they were aiming for the coronavirus vaccine. That would be fine. 50, 60% would be great. 30% would be a struggle. 40%, a little bit better than 30, but 90% changes everything. And the question then is, how fast can we get it?
Right now, we know that what the company will do, very likely, in fact, I'm certain they'll be doing it, is putting in soon, within the next week and a half or so, for an emergency use authorization and ultimately for ultimate approval of the vaccine, which means if that goes along smoothly, that we may have doses that we're able to give to people by the end of November, the beginning of December, probably well into December.
That's huge. Dr. Fauci right there. That right there is awesome. How many will we get here? Well, they've talked a bit about it yesterday. They were essentially what they were saying is, look, we're going to have enough for the first responders, the people that are in the front lines of these things, doctors, nurses, people that are inside the hospitals, as well as vulnerable patients, people that may be in a situation where because of comorbidities, that will probably be the first. The rest of us are going to have to kind of, start getting back into the swing of things. But I'm looking at the first quarter of next year for us to be in a situation where we could start to really look at rolling back out there. And by the middle of, let's say, summertime, we're back into a world of some sort of normalcy. That's huge. Now, this isn't going to be easy. This isn't going to take, a snap of the fingers. But when you look at, when you go back and you look at what's taken place with this election and what's taken place this year, I told you guys about 3 weeks ago when you started looking at the polls, the thing that people were stressed out about the most was the election and the coronavirus, but not the outcome of the election, voting that day being the most stressful day of people's lives, or the coronavirus on the health side. How the outcome of the election on your finances and the coronavirus on your finances and your life were going to take shape. And this is big, but it is political. Case in point, Cuomo talking yesterday. This is the funny thing. I mean, look, they weren't involved in Operation Warp Speed outside of the fact that the FDA got out of their way, right? So Trump told everybody who's going for this, FDA, move, let this happen, let them go. Let's get this thing motoring as fast as possible. Plus, he already spent $2 billion on their vaccine before it was ever in a situation where it was even viable. He went out and pre-bought vaccines. So if your you got $2 billion from the government and your vaccine sucked, you're keeping that $2 billion. So his whole thought process is, once we have this, we want to be able to roll out right away and go. But here's the beauty of the politics of today.
Well, it's good news, bad news. The good news is the Pfizer tests look good and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is that it's about 2 months before Joe Biden takes over, and that means this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan. And the Trump administration is rolling out the vaccination plan, and I believe it's flawed. They're basically going to have the private providers do it, and that's going to leave out all sorts of communities that were left out the first time when COVID ravaged them.
Translation, Trump's a bad guy because he's orange. If this was Biden, this would be much better. If this was Biden, this would be way better. So you've got the governor of New York, who, by the way, as we look back on this and the stalling he's doing and the cover he's running for all the things that happened inside of the nursing homes, you're not one to talk. Just being honest.
The Trump administration denied COVID, so they were never ready for it. There was no mobilization of the government. And they're still doing the same thing. They're going to take this vaccine and they're going to go through the private mechanism, through hospitals, through drug market chains, etc. That's going to be slow, and that's going to bypass the communities that we call healthcare deserts. If you don't have a Rite Aid or a CVS, then you're in trouble.
Why? Are you stuck in the neighborhood that you live in? I'm just curious. I'm always curious. Well, people can't get it. There's a way to make things happen. There is. In New York, if we hand you 50 million doses, you can't figure that out? Well, they're not. They're going to go to CVS. What? Let me tell you where I live. I'm just going to throw this out there. I live about 60 miles outside of Phoenix. But even outside of there, I live in a small community, and I don't have a Rite Aid anywhere near me. Well, you have a vehicle. You have a car? Yeah. And if I needed to get somewhere, I could figure out how to do it, even if I didn't. This is where it had to be political. Everything has to be political. Everything has to be political. And it just frustrates me because the fact that you've got the governor of New York coming out saying, well, you know, it's not very good that Trump gets to have this in place and that, you know, he's going to screw it up. And then people don't have a Rite Aid or a CVS or a Walgreens or anything near them. So they're just going to die. Get over yourself. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Yes, the election battle still continues to go on.
As in any campaign, the president has a right to bring legal challenges or request recounts where state law allows. However, there is no legal right to file frivolous claims. Lawsuits must have basis in facts, in evidence, and make no mistake, there has been no evidence of any significant widespread voter fraud. Joe Biden won this election fair and square.
They're going to go through the legal challenges that they believe that they can have. And let's go back just a ways. For 4 years, I have heard nothing but whining, bitching, and moaning from Democrats trying to undo an election that took place 4 years ago where Trump beat Hillary. I hear nothing but whining, bitching, and moaning. We are 7 days into this election, and you're already just like, suck it up and take it, Buttercup. To everybody out there who voted for Trump, just deal with it. It's your loss. No. You could settle it down and let people take a deep breath here and come to terms with whatever happens.
The president has every right to look into allegations and to request recounts under the law. And notably, the Constitution gives no role in this process to wealthy media corporations. The projections and commentary of the press do not get veto power over the legal rights of any citizen, including the president. He's right.
But this is the thing that's frustrating. Even was it 2 weeks ago, Hillary's still bitching about it. You got Stacey Abrams from Georgia, who's still decrying the fact that she lost an election, by the way, in the state of Georgia by 50,000 votes and still pretending to be the governor at times of Georgia. And you just want this to be like, take it, suck it up, Buttercup, move on.
Let's not have any lecture, no lectures about how the president should immediately cheerfully accept preliminary election results from the same characters who just spent 4 years refusing to accept the validity of the last election.
Well, he's right. And that's Mitch. Mitch is absolutely right. But take a deep breath. The legal play is going to happen. We have said that on this show for months, that this thing is going to end up in 1, 2, 3, 4, who knows how many courts, but eventually it may get to the top court. Does that mean that this thing's going to be overturned? No. Do I think that Trump has lost? I do. Do I think it's been legal? Yes. Do I have some questions about some of this stuff? Absolutely. Should we be trying to figure out how we make our voting system better? 100%. Always. But do I think that Trump is going to leave come January if he's exhausted his options and he has none and he's able to leave? Absolutely. But you can take, you could just take a step back and say, well, you know what? We've bitched about it for 4 years. Maybe they can bitch about it for a week. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. HelloFresh. Awesome. They got a Black Friday deal going on at HelloFresh. Last night I went home and we had a little HelloFresh, a little meat lump. I call it meatloaf. It was delicious. Way better than anything I could have made, even though I made it. But I tell you what, this is just incredible. First of all, I don't have to think about it. I work so much. Go home. Jack's there. We're making food. We're talking about school. It's easy. You get 22 chef curated recipes each and every week. It's contact free. It's delivered straight to you, right? Sourced directly from the growers. And you decide. You want family friendly, vegetarian, low calorie. You don't have to worry about the meal planning and the prepping recipes. Guess what? They're easy to follow. And they got pictures. So that makes it even better. You can have the meals on your table, depending on what you're cooking, in as little as 20 minutes. Usually takes me a little bit longer. Plus, here's some other things. Saving money? Absolutely. 40% versus shopping at the grocery store. Cut food waste? Big time. Portioned out. 25% is what you're saving on food waste. Save time? More time to spend with the family, especially during the holidays. Right now, they're doing something amazing. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use code Benson90. That's code Benson90. $90 off, including free shipping during HelloFresh's Black Friday sale. And this is a limited time. HelloFresh.com. Use code Benson90 for $90 off. HelloFresh.com. Code Benson90. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
What is it that Superman always said? Truth, justice, and the American way is back. I don't think that people understand. Yeah. Everybody should be happy because just picture in your mind what it could have been if he had won. It would have been the end of this country. It would have been the end of democracy. And I am not exaggerating.
You are absolutely exaggerating, Joey Behar. I can't listen to you more. It's obnoxious. The end of democracy. Just explain it to me, right? Because I know he's a fascist. And it shows by the fact that there is no media outlets that will ever challenge him. I know he's a Nazi because he's built camps everywhere. Tell me more of the things that he is. Look, you don't have to like him. This entire election was a referendum on Donald Trump's attitude and his personality. I get behind a lot of what he did. I don't agree with everything, but by the way, I don't agree with everything any president's ever done. There's a lot of stuff that I do not agree with when it comes to presidents, and it should be that way. Doesn't mean I'm right, also doesn't mean I'm wrong. But I understand there's give and takes. You just didn't like who he is, and you get emotional about it. I tweeted out something earlier, and to watch the emotions of people who get angry because they say, you're apathetic, Chad, towards this. No, I'm not. I'm not apathetic, right? I'm not. You know what I am? I'm honest. You had your vote. You had your say. You had it a week ago. Some of you had it a little bit earlier. You mailed it in. The country counted and continues to do so in some states. And I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the world burning. It's a joke. Get over. Stop being emotional about something that you don't need to be emotional about. Your life's not going to change tomorrow because Donald Trump is or isn't president. Democracy and the democratic republic that we live in, they're not going to change. Tell me what's changing tomorrow. Right? So let's just say on the 12th of December, Biden gets the Electoral College. That's when they meet. And he's officially the president-elect. Make everybody feel better. We've exhausted all the systems. And Trump is even, I'm just saying, Trump even goes, all right, he wins. I'm moving on with my life. What changes for you? Just explain that for me. What do you lose? And for those of you out there who don't like Trump, what do you gain? What do you actually get? Is there a trophy? Is there a prize? Do you not have to go to work anymore? Is there something that the other people didn't get that we didn't know about? Because if you think he's just going to willy-nilly walk in there and just, hey, this is all the things we're doing, remember, right now, you've got 2 races in Georgia. We're going to talk about those that are mightily important. And I'm going to throw this out there, too. There is a third person who is a Democrat, who is also a game changer for the Republicans in many ways. And he's one of my favorite senators. We're going to talk about how the thought process of everything's changing tomorrow and all of a sudden we're going to become some socialistic country, or if Trump stuck around, all of a sudden we're going to become this authoritarian dictatorship, was never going to happen. You allow emotions to run your life when it comes to politics or anything, that's usually not a great thing. Because when big things come up, the emotions run it. And when the emotion gets high, usually that's when people make the poorest mistakes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you. Plus, SCOTUS on full display today over the ACA, a.k.a. Obamacare. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Give us a while here in the news media. Because, we got to learn how to quit the other person, right? It's like a breakup. We got to get the other president, the other out of our phone contacts. And I'm just here to tell you it's going to be okay.
Why would it be okay, Don Lemon? Oh, because your ratings are going to suck even more. And one thing I've said from the time he came down the stairs, the escalator, to when he really became being in my business, people always say, well, with Trump not there, you're going to, I said, look, let me tell you something. I can go all day without talking about Trump. I can't. He doesn't occupy that kind of space in my life. I would rather talk about, he did this or he did that, and that was good or that was bad, and we move on. But one thing I do know is there are a lot of people out there who got a second lease on their careers because of Trump, the Trump bump. And that goes for both sides of the aisle in my business, the media business, and other places. He became an industry all to himself because what? He's able to get people to get emotional about him. That's what he was able to do. So people like Don Lemon there talk, it's going to be tough. We've got to get him out of our thing, out of our lives. We heard Joey Behar talking about how he's going to destroy democracy if he would have got another chance.
Mitch McConnell knows how to count votes. Mitch McConnell knows this election's over. He's concerned about winning those 2 Georgia seats, which he should win unless Republicans really foul things up over the next several weeks, which They could do.
They could.
If they follow the madness of Donald Trump's
It would
claims.
be traitorous, actually, to the process that our country has in place for a peaceful transition. And quite frankly, any of these Republicans who try and do that might find themselves in the wrong location across from an adult bookstore.
Which was hilarious. We'll talk about that. If you guys didn't see, that was the Four Seasons debacle over the weekend. But Joe Scarborough, what is Joe Scarborough going to talk about? What are Mika going to talk about? They're going to talk about their quiet nights in? You've got nothing. Are you going to spend 4 years talking about Joe Biden? What did Joe do today? He had some applesauce, put on a sweater, played with his rescue dog, went and spoke to Mitch McConnell a couple times, and made a phone call. You're going to make 4 years out of that? Look, you don't have to like anything that Trump does. But for a lot of people, got you emotional. For a lot of people, you never knew what you were waking up to. You know, when I first got into the world of trading currencies as a business, one of the things that you learn compared to trading stocks is, first of all, currencies, the amount of currencies traded in like a day is what the stock market does in a month. And by the way, it's 24/7 essentially. So you never know going to bed at night if you're in a position what you may wake up to. And many a time I've woken up to the Japanese yen being repatriated by their country. And there was always a potential for chaos. This is what it's like with Trump. It's always a potential for some sort of chaos. But he gave people a second lease on life. He did. Even now, even though the tallies are being still counted, there is still the things that are going on that are very Trumpian. He won't surrender. He won't give up. He won't do this. What's he going to do next? He fired this person. What is he going to do in the next 70 days? Is he going to blow our country up? I mean, wow. Don't let him live rent-free in your head. You got bigger fish to fry in life. You do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from every single one of you. One of the bigger things that we have to pay attention to is what is going to be happening today with SCOTUS, because SCOTUS is in session.
Is there a good chance that Obamacare gets destroyed in this session?
There is no chance. It's very likely that the individual mandate gets struck down because there's no longer John Roberts' taxing power argument, but the rest of the law will survive. There's not even one vote, let alone four, with Barrett being the decider.
Yeah, so it will be there. Obamacare's not going anywhere. The mandate, different story. But as far as the actual Obamacare, no. And that's Ilya Shapiro, Constitutional Studies Director at the Cato Institute, talking to Kilmeade today about this. And for a lot of people, okay. People ask me all the time, Chad, what should we do with health care? I said, let me tell you what people want. They want a career, job, and opportunity. We all know that. Who doesn't want that? And they want to know that not only can they take care of their family and themselves, but things like health care. Nobody should go bankrupt over a heart attack, that just shouldn't happen. Cancer. It should be about getting the person well. Our system is flawed and broken. There are too many people with their hand in the cookie jar. The trough is full, and we need to find a better way of doing things. The Democrats thought it was Obamacare. They pushed it through, and it became more of a law than it did health care. It was meant to withstand challenges like this in the court system rather than bring you closer to your health provider. My frustration is once government gets in, how far will they go? Because, as we all know, government, well, as Reagan said it best, 8 scariest words in the English language. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. And all too often, what happens? It becomes more complex. It becomes more frustrating. This was meant to withstand legal challenges more than it was to be better for you and healthcare.
This is California versus Texas, and they're saying, well, John Roberts in 2012 said it exists because the mandate is a tax. Now, the president gets rid of the mandate, so if the mandate means that you don't have to buy health care insurance, so therefore, let's try it again. Let's try to get rid of it without the mandate, and you believe we should focus on severability. Can you put that in layman's terms?
Yeah, that's a fancy legal term for how much of the rest of a law falls when one part is judged to be constitutionally or legally defective.
So that's what they think they should focus on. If we, like Jenga, if you pull this here, even though that's the only thing that has to be pulled, you only have to pull one, is that going to cause it to collapse upon itself from there?
Now, you have to understand, this case is not a redo of that one from 8 years ago when Roberts ruled not to change the rest of the law. That's why the mandate will fall. There's no more taxing power argument for it, but all or most of the rest will survive.
Unbelievable. And when are we going to find out?
By the end of June, that's when the term ends. But this case, as I said, is not that complicated at the end of the day, and so we could have a decision in a few months, not ending till the end of the term.
But the thing's got to be fixed.
I mean, that would be great, but that obviously isn't a job for the Supreme Court. That's a job for Congress.
Yeah. And here's my thing. I've heard the Republicans yap their trap for years. They've tried to repeal Obamacare over and over again, knowing full well they had nothing in its place. They tried haphazardly at times to throw something in there, and John McCain said no. At the end of the day, what are you bringing to the table that is going to be a replacement? What are you bringing to the table that is going to say, hey, look, you guys liked Obamacare? Kind of, because the alternative was the unknown. And if you're the Republicans, what are you bringing? I've heard for months and years, 2 more weeks, I'm going to have my health care plan. Trump said 2 more weeks, we'll have a health care plan. I don't see anything. We need portability. We need opportunities for us to go, what, across state lines and buy insurance? Absolutely. Does there need? I have been a proponent of several different things that everybody should be looking at. And I've talked to several Congress people about it. They've said, hey, I heard you on at night, and I'm curious about, some of this stuff. And we've talked about it at, on numerous occasions about how we can try to come up with something that won't be perfect. If you're looking for perfection, just like with this election and the way it's counted, if you're looking for perfection, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Somebody will feel like they got left out. Somebody will feel like it's not enough. Other people will feel like they got too much because they can afford more. But we need to come up with some options. Is it a private-public opportunity? Why not? Not saying you have to. Give people the option. I have nothing wrong with that. Incentivize doctors to come work for the government and states. Incentivize that by paying off their medical school debt, asking them to stay several years working in a certain place. Obviously, they're going to get a salary and stuff like that. But incentivize people to do that. Know that they're going to pay more in taxes, but they're also not going to have to worry if something goes wrong. But at the same time, they'll be beholden to that system itself. Incentivize companies to have more of an opportunity to be more a la carte when it comes to certain kind of things. Meaning, hey, you know what? You're 21. You need catastrophic, right? You're at a head-on collision, and that's catastrophic. That's what we need to have some more of this, and we have a little bit of it, but we also need the opportunity to have some competition in the sales, making it easier and bringing our healthcare providers closer to the actual individual. There's ways of doing this. But the first thing we need to do is figure out, okay, who's here to feed at the trough, which is everybody. They're just feeding at different troughs. The insurance companies are feeding over here in this trough, and then they're taking some of that money and they're feeding it over here to this trough, and that's where the politicians are. How do we figure this out? I think it can be done. And again, it will not be perfect, but it'll be better than what we have. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Check us out on the YouTube as well, Chad Benson Show TV. Chad Benson Show TV. See the way I said that there? Pretty cool. All right, Legacy Box. Holidays are here. This is a great thing. So if you don't know what it is, I've got mine, and I'm getting a second box. So they mail you a box. It's a simple box, right? You get it, and you're like, okay, what do I put in here, Chad? Maybe you got VHS tapes, Beta, family. You're like, yeah. And you don't even have a player anymore. You got camcorder tapes. You got film reels. We had a ton of those and tons of pictures. With Legacy Box, they can digitally preserve them on a thumb drive, DVD, or the cloud. Your memories are going to be right there. It's going to be awesome. You get them all in a place where they're safe, they're touched up, they look amazing. It's an easy way, an affordable way to preserve your past. You pack them up, you send them. Their team digitizes everything, and you enjoy. Plus, you can keep up to date with regular emails throughout the digitizing process to see where it is in the process itself. Almost 1 million families have digitally preserved their past. Now it's time for you to do the same. That's what I want you to do. Future-proofing your memories. It's what it's all about. It's amazing. I've got stuff of my dad that I'm super excited that I haven't seen. I have one picture of my father that I have access to outside of a few old pictures and some stuff on, tapes and stuff that we don't have. That's why I was excited about this. Great holiday gift. Go to legacybox.com/Benson. 40% off your first order. Buy today. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. Send in when you're ready. Legacybox.com/Benson. Save 40% while supplies last. Legacybox.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
You guys, I know it's been a long day, but I really don't like that we're breezing over the fact that Trump said they were holding a huge press conference at the Four Seasons Hotel, and then they accidentally... they accidentally... booked it at a place called Four Seasons Total Landscaping, and Rudy Giuliani had to go there.
I love it. She's right. It was hilarious. They thought they were booking the Four Seasons Hotel, and instead in Philadelphia, they booked Four Seasons Total Landscaping in like a business commercial, park where you would have, there was an adult bookstore. And here's the other thing. You know what they're doing? They're selling all kinds of goodies, including things like Make America Rake Again. They win. Lawn and Order. You win. I'm sorry. Four Seasons. They have a Total Landscaping. They got merch now because of it. Big press conference at Four Seasons Total Landscaping. How embarrassing was that? That is just, oh my goodness. They're out there. They're out there trying to give a press conference with those two speakers. Oh my goodness. I don't know who booked it. Rudy Giuliani leading the charge. Woo, Chad, you're such a jerk. You know what? I'm in a great mood. Happy Christmas. Let me tell you why. Little 3 o'clock this morning, cruising in. Oh yeah, found my Christmas channel. After the year we've had, I am good with Christmas getting here as early as possible. Can we all agree? It was just nice. It was just great. I tweeted it out. People are like, that's insane. It's not insane. It's great. We need more of this. I saw my first Christmas lights last night. This guy, he does it up every year, but normally he waits till Thanksgiving. But I think he thought the same thing. And he's a huge Trump supporter. He's got a giant flag out there. And I was talking to him, and he's like, if he loses, he loses. It is what it is. I'm a big Trump supporter. But he had his stuff out. And I'm like, nice. Just getting ready for it. I got zero problems. We got Thanksgiving coming up, and that's
United Airlines says it expects Thanksgiving week to be its busiest time since March, adding 1,400 additional flights that week. Now, the airline tells us it is keenly aware that we are in the midst of a pandemic, and aside from the cleaning they're already doing, they say they're preparing to swap in bigger planes as more people book seats.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then you've got this for Thanksgiving that people are throwing out there, which I find to be hilarious.
If you're considering spending Thanksgiving with your loved ones, then you may want to quarantine soon. In order to reduce risk at a time when the U.S. is seeing record-breaking coronavirus cases, NBC News reports health experts advise quarantine starts Thursday, November 12th.
So what they want you to do is starting Thursday, so 2 days from now. So you got Veterans Day tomorrow, then Thursday. They want you to quarantine for 2 weeks before you go see your family. But then, are they quarantining? Because if they're not quarantining, then all I'm doing is keeping the coronavirus potentially away from them. Well, they may give it to me. So I think the best thing to do is if you're not really into family for the holidays, you punt. It's a perfect excuse this year. Everybody's going to, I can't come. I'm worried. You know, we're just going to keep it small. Keep it small. That's it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I'm going to get a text. I can't believe you made fun of Rudy Giuliani. I can't believe you haven't yet. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
He is absolutely determined to pursue every possible legal challenge to try to overturn what are still unofficial election results. I don't see any prospect that that is in any way feasible, but his team will pursue challenges in several states. And then I think the end game here is that at some point you reach a point where the courts have said, that's it.
Yeah, I guess at some point you do. Is that now? Nah, not at this moment. You exhaust the legal options you think you have. But at some point, look, and if nothing else, and I want you guys to understand this, even if you think Trump's on a wild goose hunt here, and I do, understand this. He's not going to have this thing overturned. It would be amazing. It would 99.9% chance of having this thing overturned. But if he can show flaws in the system, and this has nothing to do with whether or not you could say, well, if there was one person who voted who was dead, or somebody cheated over here and there was 3 ballots, then this thing is no, because you're never going to have a perfect system. You will have some nefariousness, but not to the level that people think. You also have incompetence. So that's not nefarious. It's just people are going to make mistakes. They're human beings. But if along the way, they can point out flaws in the system that make it better. So the next time we go to vote, because I've always said, look, I have no issues with mail-in voting. My issues have been with the way how fast it was put together for this election, that they didn't test it properly, that the times that they did test it in certain places, it went horribly wrong. Colorado gets it right. Florida's got a system that seems to work. You see a lot of states, but it took time for that to happen, and they had things in place. So that's been my biggest issue of this. I'm totally against it. I do believe there was some issues, but I don't think it will change the outcome of this election. But he is going to exhaust all of the options he has. And then he's going to fight it, and he's going to tell everybody that it's this is it. We cheated. We've been ruined because of this. They stole the election from me. Will he ever acknowledge this? That's a very interesting question.
Based on what I've heard from people close to him, that ultimately he will accept the results in terms of, he won't refuse to leave the White House, but he is never going to acknowledge that he lost this election fair and square. He will never, ever acknowledge that.
I think he will. I think he's going to surprise people. I think he's going to go through it, and I think somebody like him who was used to winning all the time, who's lost before. Here's the thing. We always think that Trump thinks he always wins all the time. He's lost before. And I think at some point in time, he, sooner rather than later, after they exhausted everything, he'll come to the realization. All right, I lost. Is what it is. I didn't think I thought I should have won. I think the system was rigged against me, but at the end of the day, I'm going to move on. And I think he's going to be much more graceful in this defeat than I think people realize it. And I do believe he'll show up at the inauguration. To not show up would be a slap in our powerful statement that we have, which is this powerful trading of the baton from one to another, the peaceful process of handing that power to somebody else. And I think he will. And then the question is, what does he do next? Let me tell you something. He's got a lot of things he can do. He's going to go to court. He's going to have to stay out of prison. I don't think they're coming for him. I really do. And I think Biden is probably going to go, look, we don't need this. We don't need you guys hunting them down. We don't need more and more of this stuff. We don't. Well, Chad, if he broke the law, look, what are you hunting for, really? Are you hunting for, is this because he was president? Because I feel like most of this is politically motivated. I think we can all agree on that. And I think at some point in time, that pursuit will slowly but surely end. And then he's got a choice. Do I want to run in 2024? Or is he in a position to do something that is, quite frankly, I think some things that a lot of conservatives in the Republican Party kind of worry about, which is be the kingmaker. Be the guy who sets up a media empire, grows that thing exponentially, takes on Fox, and becomes that kingmaker of this person here. I'm anointing this person for the next generation. I think that is a possibility of what he may do, because he could stay relevant. And if the thought process of running again, you're in the eye of everybody for the next 3 or 4 years, you stay relevant. But I tell you what, if I'm him, I take a few months off. I do nothing. I take a few months off. I hit golf balls. I, hang out with the family. I do all of the things like that. But I don't fight all the way the minute you're out of there tweeting 1,000 times a day about how awful Biden is. Take time off. Let the media wish for your return. Don't give them anything for free. And if you do have that return that a lot of people think you're going to have, come back as somebody who's taking them on, rather than a situation where you guys are fighting amongst yourselves and you're the story. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text the program. Yes, it is happening, kids. SCOTUS is hearing the argument today about Obamacare.
At question is whether the Affordable Care Act's individual mandate, which requires Americans to have health insurance, is constitutional. If the law is struck down, an estimated 21 million Americans could lose their health insurance. The Supreme Court has previously upheld Obamacare, but those decisions came before it had a 6-3 conservative majority. The 9 justices, including newly minted Justice Amy Coney Barrett, will hear arguments virtually today. A decision is expected by June 2021.
Yeah, and it may come sooner than that. And what do you have? You have Obamacare hanging in the balance when it comes to the mandate. What does that mean for the insurance side of things? This is something that they're going to be listening to. And this is why so many people were upset about the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett as fast as it was, because people are looking at their insurance going away. And totally understandable. Health insurance is top of mind for a lot of people because, well, first of all, health. I mean, we do a poor job of taking care of ourselves in this country, but the reality is we think about it. you know, how much it cost us. What happens if somebody gets sick? The fact that you could go in for a surgery and get that surprise bill that cost you, oh my God, and bankrupts you. Nobody should go bankrupt. We need to find a better system. And I think the Republicans have failed along the way. And I think the Democrats were too hard to fight this thing at times without really trying to come to something. But what do we do here in this country? Obamacare is really unpopular until the thought process of it going away is. Why is that? Because the government comes in and they say, all right, we're going to replace it with something else. And you're like, uh-oh. Well, I at least know what this is. Then it becomes popular again. You're never going to make everybody happy. But we need to figure out a smart way of going about addressing this. It is imperative that we do. No, we're the most powerful, wealthiest nation on earth. We should be able to take care of ours without having the government take care of everybody. But money gets involved in much bigger ways, and along the way, it becomes all about who's getting paid, who has the power, who's making all of this money. And every time something happens, every time a new regulation, every time certain things go inside of it, we get further and further away from our health care provider. There is better ways of doing this. And I think we can all realize that. I have friends who look, I have lived in single payer systems. I lived in on and off in Great Britain for a decade. I've lived in and out of single payer systems. I tell everybody, if you have a broken leg, you want to go to England. It's great, right? Like they said, you're not going to get a bill. It's fantastic. I mean, you're paying for it every month with your taxes. But if you had a heart attack, life-wise, you might want to be here. But with that bill? Because we're not worried about the day-to-day of, if I got to pay my insurance or you go see it, copay and, we're not, most people aren't worried about that. Some are, but not most. It's the, oh my God situation that everybody's terrified of. You get cancer and what happens? These are the things we need to discuss. We're too busy trying to fit everything into one system. We may need a few. But what we have now, it isn't working for a majority of people in the way I think they would like it to work. And what the insurance companies don't get is people are getting frustrated. And the more frustrated they get, the more they'll be looking for a singular solution, which will keep them out of the game for good. So they better come up with some new ways and alternative ways to serve their customers, which is us, or else pay the price of being obsolete altogether. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Check out Chad Benson Show TV as well. That's on YouTube. And check out the Facebook page. Car Shield. Holidays, you're traveling around. Last thing you need is that check engine light to come on. You're thinking to yourself, oh my God, this is going to cost me a ton of money. And right around the holidays, this is the last thing I need. Whether your car has 5,000 or 150,000 miles on it, Car Shield has a plan that's right for you. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. Say your car's in the shop for a week. Well, guess what? They got that covered for you. You choose the shop. Even if you're traveling, let's say you go to grandma's house, right? You drive over there, a couple hundred miles away. Car has issues. Call them up and take it to the shop that's close by. Take it to the dealership. They'll get it sorted out for you. You pay a small deductible. It's that simple. What are you waiting for? Get yourself covered, whether it's the inside of the car with the electronics or your complete engine and transmission. Car Shield has a plan that's right for you. Plans start as low as $99 a month. Make great gifts as well. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10% or call 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Stuff. Let me tell you what's trending. Apparently, the pandemic is bringing issues to the Pennsylvania Bear check stations. 100,000 people have searched that today. Yesterday, big winner was Pfizer, 2 million plus. Pfizer and BioNTech believe that they have a vaccine that is 90% effective. Patriots won last night. They had 2 million as well. Xbox Series X, over 1 million searches. Bunch of other little stuff out there. Masters this week, super excited. I'm in a pool. Very excited about the Masters. Got to figure out who I'm going to pick. Hot pick would go with Bryson DeChambeau, but I'm not quite sure I'm going to pick. It's going to be interesting, though. I'm excited about that. And this is interesting because the Masters is being played this week, which normally is played in April, and then it's being replayed in March or April, and it's being replayed again in just a few months. So that's kind of neat. Head on over to Twitter, where everybody argues with everybody about everything. FLOTUS. Dr. Jill Biden, for those of you who don't know, will have a job outside of being the FLOTUS. She's a teacher, and she will be teaching. She will be teaching, indeed. Affordable Care Act and SCOTUS are everywhere. Today, they're hearing the oral arguments about the Affordable Care Act. And not so much the act itself, but the singular thing inside of it, which is the mandate. So that will be very interesting to see how that plays itself out. And then something we're going to talk about that's happening, Joe Manchin. He was on earlier today on Fox, and he said some very interesting things, and he is a Democrat. But he's probably the most conservative Democrat there is. And he walks that fine line out there. Really what he is he's just a sane person. That's what he kind of is. Oh, my goodness. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but it was very interesting. So during Neil Cavuto's show, you had Kayleigh McEnany that was on giving one of her press conferences, and Neil had heard enough.
Our position is clear. We want to protect the franchise of the American people. We want an honest, accurate, lawful count. We want maximum transparency. We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this.
Yeah, he was quick on the draw. And I tell everybody, there's a difference between Fox News and then what you see at night and in the morning. There's total difference. In the middle of the day, it's just kind of news. At night, you're going to get the talking heads who are opinion makers. They're not journalists. They're not there to be anything more than opinion makers.
I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up, but that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating. If she does bring proof of that, of course, we'll take you back. So far, she has started saying right at the outset, welcoming fraud, welcoming illegal voting. That's a fast.
And, of course, they're getting hammered by Trump. That's why Trump's media empire, you've got a huge swath of that audience that will follow him anywhere. What's that look like if he decides he wants to go out? Murdoch has said, do it. Dare you. Maybe he will. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
There's a huge sense of enthusiasm and momentum here in Georgia right now for Vice President Biden to prevail here after what's been a decade of organizing and voter registration. A lot of this work led by Stacey Abrams, these huge battles, some won, some lost, we've had in Georgia over the last 10 years. And now to have 2 Senate runoffs for Senate control with so much at stake, with this virus still raging out of control, we have the wind at our backs and a great sense of promise and opportunity here.
Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. But the balance of power is in now. Georgia is the center of the political universe for America. That's what it. Georgia is right there at the center. Even though they haven't, gone and certified this and then gone to the Electoral College, at that point, like I said, with Trump, it's as far as I'm concerned, all that's over is the court battles, and there's nothing you can do. No more arguments to be made. Let the courts suss it out as it's going to. But when it comes to getting back to the day-to-day realization of what may be taking place, to serve, if you will, in the Senate, the Republicans have to win one of 2 races, with probably Purdue versus Ossoff as the one that people are looking at as that opportunity to have a victory. If they lose both, what happens? It makes Kamala Harris the tiebreaker, meaning the Senate essentially is the Democrats, which would make Joe Biden's life much, much, much easier. In saying that, one of these going to the Republicans, you've got the majority. That means Mitch becomes arguably the second most powerful man in D.C. and able to control a lot of what goes on or doesn't go on inside of D.C.
Well, we saw some drop off from the top of the ballot. We saw some votes go to Libertarian candidate. But the bottom line is that this is the strongest Democratic turnout ever in the history of this state. My opponent, Senator David Perdue, who enters this runoff badly damaged by his own misconduct, by his failed response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
But he did beat you. But he didn't get the 50%. So there has to be a runoff. But he did beat you. Now, then you got Loeffler, who is, if you guys don't know who she's had some issues as far as the wokeness of the world is concerned. Kelly Loeffler or Loeffler, she's a businesswoman. She's a politician. She's got, everybody points to, she is she is all that is evil white women. She's privileged across the board. She and her husband own the Atlanta Dream of the WNBA. She's been very critical of Black Lives Matter. So so there's a lot that goes into that. She came in second in a 3-person race that included another Republican. And there was almost 800,000 votes that went to 3rd and 4th party candidates. So this is going to be tough. I think they'll win at least one. I do. But that balance of power is massive. And this is why Georgia is very important. Because if you're worried about your taxes, guess what happens in the world of taxes? We want to fix this. We want to reverse all this. Here's my Mitch McConnell. No. We want to do this. No. We want to do that. No. Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be opportunities to work. I think there will be. And here's the other thing, too, and I think people need to realize this. And I don't think it's talked about enough. I think Biden wants to come in and wants to show a lot of people, look, I am not this uber progressive, let's get government more involved in your life kind of Democrat. And I don't want to be seen as a pushover. Having Mitch McConnell and them as control of some of the Senate gives him a bit of cover. And on top of that, it gives him some protection for some of these things. Already they're going after Joe Manchin today, which is something else that's not talked about when it comes to, because he's a Democrat. But Manchin has said he's not for statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico. He said, I'll listen to what they have to say, but when D.C. comes and say we don't have equal representation, no, you do. He is not for getting rid of the filibuster or for stacking the courts. He's for none of those things, which sounds very unprogressive-like. And that has made people stand up and go, ooh. And he even said, look, for the taxes, we need to do some new thing. We don't need to get rid of all of it. So this is really important. When you look at Georgia, I'm getting a little wonky here, these are the things that when you step back and you go, oh, hold on a second. So you mean to tell me that if they win Georgia, one of those seats, that things really aren't going to change that much?
Senate Democrats have been very clear about what they intend if they take power in the Senate. They will eliminate the filibuster. They will use that power to pack the Supreme Court. They will add 2 new states, D.C. and Puerto Rico. And to be clear, none of this is well thought out policy. This is not benevolence. This is not about what's good for the country. This is about establishing a permanent Democrat majority in Washington that can never be undone. So that is what is at stake in this balance of power in the Senate.
And that worries a lot of people. That's Rachel Bovar, Director of Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Now, do I think they'd get all those things? No. Like I said, Manchin has already said he doesn't want to get rid of the filibuster. And I have a feeling there's a few other Democrats out there. And let me tell you, the loss, or whatever you want to call it with Trump, he was robbed, he was lost. That was a referendum on his attitude and his personality. The fact is if you go and look across the country, the Republicans did more than well. They flipped state houses up and down the ticket they won. There's still some outstanding House seats that look like they may break. They're probably going to hold on to the Senate, and they've got some governorships. So across the board, they did extremely well. Because I think a lot of people want that balance. And the Democrats that did well were what? Ones that were balanced. You know that blue wave that came 2 years ago? That blue wave was mostly regular old Democrats. That's mostly what it was. It wasn't the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars. They got all the press. But the majority, because there was a ton that ran just like them, they got blown out of the water before they ever got through the primaries. So this right here is important.
Look, I think both these candidates are going to present pretty good, compelling reasons to vote for them. Both of them were supposed to be blown away. That's what the polls told us. So the fact that they didn't overwhelm the race and that we're here in a runoff, I think speaks to the fact that this is not easily decided. Georgia voters are going to have to make some good, tough decisions. But I do think the Republicans, both of them, have very strong cases. You've seen Kelly Loeffler stand up to big tech in the Senate. David Perdue come out for, fundamental immigration reform. These are things that matter to voters in Georgia and voters across the country.
You only need to win one. You win one, and then you've got that balance that I think a lot of people like. I like balance because I know both. But here's the problem is when you have so many chefs, everybody wants to do their own recipe. They all want to do something. They all start doing whatever it is that they want to do. And in many cases, they're unchecked. And without there being anybody checking either side, you tend to get a runaway, which then what happens? We swing the other way at the midterm or during the presidency. So being somewhat checked, I think, is a good thing. Making them come together and try to come up with the best solution rather than the personal solution. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text us. Is it a game changer? CEO of Pfizer, Albert Parada, believes it is. And this is huge.
We believe that we are in good situation to have up to 50 million doses this year globally. And I believe we are in a very, very good situation to have 1.3 billion doses globally. I think that likely, based on impact, that will be the greatest medical advance in the last 100 years.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that at all. And it'll be interesting to see how they roll this thing out. Because you'll probably, towards the end of the year, be seeing potentially first responders, our medical personnel receiving, as well as some people that are in a position that they would need it the most because of comorbidities. But then you'll, start to hopefully see it come March, April, May in a wider distribution.
The CDC has suggested that they'll be looking at a phased approach of immunization and vaccination of the American population, with healthcare workers and the most high-risk essential workers and individuals going first, and then 5 groups of staggered administration.
So it's going to be like getting on Southwest. Which group are you on? So the front-end workers, Economy Plus or whatever, they get to go first, as well as people who need help and who are most vulnerable. Then, are you in group A, B, C, or D? Because once you get to C or D, a good majority of people have already got it, so you're really not worried that much about it. But that's kind of the result that they're looking at. And it exceeded what the FDA was looking for, because when they're looking at all of these vaccines, there is a threshold they need to get over for it to truly be effective.
Good news from Pfizer. They released some data showing that their vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 had greater than a 90% efficacy rate. The FDA said their low rate for accepting a vaccine for emergency use authorization was just 50%. So this far exceeded the minimum.
Yeah. Dr. Jen Ashton there right there. Totally exceeded the minimum. And that's what we want. That's huge. Huge. Trump was right. We got one by the end of the year. I don't want him to be right. So amazing how people don't want him to be right. I find that hilarious. You wouldn't want him to be right? No, not him. You'd rather somebody else get the credit. This is why we can't have nice things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter, Rough Greens. I got the Doodle test for you. So you guys know about my dog Doodle. Started giving him Rough Greens 7 months ago. Maybe a little bit longer than that. He had bad hips. Horrific. He had really bad fatty tumors. He struggled. We didn't know what to do with him. We thought about putting him to sleep because he was getting so growly and nippy. And I'm like, I can't do that to him. He just feels like he's in so much pain. We started giving him this. We've exhausted all these other things. And it's just a supplement. We sprinkle it on his food, and he started eating up after 7 days. We're like, whoa. And after 2 weeks, it was like, this is amazing. 7 months in, he's a whole new dog living his best life. And so we said, hey, let's try it. Let's see what, went to Rough Greens and hey, we got a great idea. How about this? You get a free bag. Now, it's not dog food. It's supplement you put on your dog's food. It's got vitamins, vegetables, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. You sprinkle it on there, and you watch what happens. $30 value. Doesn't cost you a penny. You just pay for shipping. Put it to the test. It works for Doodle. I swear by it. It'll work for your dog. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad. Get your free bag of Rough Greens. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Try it for yourself. Doesn't cost you a penny. It's a free bag. You pay for shipping. That's putting it to the test. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
A unique wedding surprise for a couple with the unusual last names of Helms and Mayo. Hellman's, the mayonnaise company, sending Marissa Helms and David Mayo a giant mayo jar-shaped cake on their wedding day.
Does that feel yummy to everybody? Producer Phil, you are a connoisseur of all fine foods. Are you a mayo person at all?
Absolutely I am.
All right, good. See, I don't know. I'm going to say this right now. What's a Miracle Whip? I'm not a Miracle Whip fan. I don't know what it is.
I put Miracle Whip on certain things.
Miracle Whip. Cool Whip. Miracle Whip.
The company also sending them custom bomber jackets and promising them a year's supply of mayonnaise. Helms and Mayo reached out to Hellmann's before their wedding in October. The couple had planned a Hellmann's-themed wedding, complete with Mayo-shaped wedding cookie favors and a blue and yellow color scheme. They joke that they knew from the very beginning that their love was fate due to their names. I wonder if they actually do love mayonnaise or if they're forced to like it.
Just got
I love bad local television.
We're good to go.
You go into that wedding, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to marry the love of my life, and suddenly you now have to love mayonnaise too.
Not very nice, Chad. And then, over the weekend, a couple got married in Britain. His last name is White, and hers is Christmas. And they were supposed to be married earlier this year, but because of COVID and restrictions, they had to move it. But, yeah, so they got married. White Christmas. Now, do you keep that as your name? Do you keep that last name as... Do you hyphenate for White Christmas? That'd be kind of neat, right? I think her name is Karen. Karen White Christmas. Is there a White Christmas here? People are like, that's racist. Speaking of racism, apparently Eva Longoria has to apologize. Here's the issue with when everything is based on race. And this is where so many people, the intersectionality. So you've got the Oppression Olympics. You get a point for certain things. You're a white male, you have no points, right? So you've got 0 points. If you're a black male, you've got 1. If you're a black female, you have 2 points. If you are a gay black man, you get 2 points. And so that's the way it works. For every group, you get extra points. So apparently, Eva Longoria made controversial remarks. She said U.S. Latinas are the real heroines of the 2020 election victory of Biden and Harris. And she said that, I guess, on MSNBC. And they went after her. She says, watching this back, I can see that this sounds like I'm comparing Latinas to black women. I was comparing Latinas to their male counterparts, but my wording was not clear, and I deeply regret. Regret what? Here's the issue right here. When your group that you have to single out did some sort of job better than another group, or that group takes offense to the fact, that's just stupid. My goodness me. And you're mad at what? Latinos because they voted for Trump in some ways that shocked a lot of people? And black males? I saw that article the other week that if you're a black male and you're voting for Trump, it's only because you're misogynistic. This is the issue that the Democrats are going to have to fight amongst themselves with the crazy intersectionality identity politics. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The states have suggested that there might be some theory of harm from the effects of third-party conduct. That might have been a viable theory, but their problem is that they have not established with evidence that's required on summary judgment.
Michael Monaghan arguing against the mandate for Obamacare, which is being heard today, and why is all the stuff that's going on. Let me tell you, whatever happens with Trump is going to end up in court, so that you can't do anything about that. But this is big because healthcare. How many of you out there have healthcare? How many of you don't, or you struggle, or you've made decisions over the last several years to, I got to cover the kids, but we can't afford to cover ourselves. This is big because this is something that some people are looking at might be the undoing of Obamacare. Could it happen? Is that a possibility?
Is there a good chance that Obamacare gets destroyed in this session?
There is no chance. It's very likely that the individual mandate gets struck down because there's no longer John Roberts' taxing power argument, but the rest of the law will survive. There's not even one vote, let alone 4, with Barrett being the decider.
Yeah, so you got a 6-3 vote now. What do you have behind it? I'm just curious, Republicans. What do you have behind Obamacare that everybody should go, oh, yeah, you guys got a great thing here? What do we need? I mean, look, we're pretty smart. I think we're all, kind of semi-above average. Some of us well above average. Some of us in the middle, some of us blue. But I think we could come up with, hey, isn't there a better way to do what we're doing? Because I feel like we're getting further away from our health care provider. And that things that are being written or put into law are laws rather than coverage and care. When Obamacare first came on the scene, everybody was pissed. No Republicans voted for it. It was passed in the dead of the night. And you had, of course, the famous line from Nancy, well, I'm going to have to pass it to see what's in it. And it's been a fight ever since. And for some, it's been amazing and it saved their lives. For others, it's been frustrating and expensive. I know for me, I've lost 2 doctors. When I was in California, I lost a doctor. It's like not doing it anymore. And then came out here, got a doctor, and then after a while, no. So now I've got a new doctor. It's been frustrating. It has been. Rules, regulations, double rules, triple rules. It was written as a law. It was never written as health care. But the mandate has been the thing that has been fought over and over again. That, hey, you either pay this or else. And that's what a lot of people are thinking. Okay, this is what's at stake now.
This is California versus Texas, and they're saying, well, John Roberts in 2012 said it exists because the mandate is a tax. Now, the president gets rid of the mandate, so if the mandate means that you don't have to buy health care insurance, so therefore, let's try it again. Let's try to get rid of it without the mandate, and you believe we should focus on severability. Can you put that in layman's terms?
Yeah, that's a fancy legal term for how much of the rest of a law falls when one part is judged to be constitutionally or legally defective.
Yeah. Meaning, think of Jenga, right? So you're building that thing, and it's already precarious at times, and you pull one piece. Does that thing or that thread, when you pull a thread, does that start something that ends up being the spiral? But my question to the Republicans and everybody else is, what do you have behind it? What do you have behind it? What are you offering as a solution? They tried something. It didn't work. Trump has promised, as had the Republicans over and over again, even before Trump got there, of replacing it with something. And it was, And then when push came to shove, it really wasn't that good. What do you have? Nobody should go bankrupt because of medical care. Nobody should. Nobody should have to make that choice. It's nuts. And we love the care we have. Could it be better? Yes. Is it going to suit everybody? No. And remember that nothing is going to suit everybody. Somebody will always have a complaint. Doesn't matter who it is. They'll have a complaint. You could get on an airplane with somebody, fly around the world, not hit one turbulence. The person could sleep like a baby, have the best service they've ever had, and they'll be like, well, it was a little too cold. Somebody will find something to complain about. It was just, the blankets were itchy. Somebody will find something. The reality is what's out there and how do we bridge the gap? Because there's got to be a better way. I think there's several ways. We've talked about it ad nauseum. But this is the thing that the average person's thinking about. Right? You and I think about it all the time. You know, my uncle was just in the hospital last week. He's my best friend in the world. He was in the hospital for like 4 days. He was in ICU. And he's fine now. But it was really bad. For a couple days, I was really worried about him. And he and I were talking about, like, man, if I didn't have this great insurance. Yeah, I know. So what's the alternatives? And there are several alternatives I think that we could look at. Look, I said, let's listen to Biden's. You know, I've always said the private and public option should be available. If you want to go and have a public option where you say, you know what, I'm going to go with my state's health care. This is what it is. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to pay extra in state income tax that goes to that. But I also understand that I am beholden to that care. I'm not going to have other private health care. I'll be beholden to said care. This will be the group I'm with, and how they go is, you know, I go. And then other people will say, no, I'm keeping private. I want to have opportunities to go see specialists, not have to wait forever, not have to wait in line, have more of a concierge service, do those kind of things. Then they should be able to allow that. Chad, look, more and more of you I talk to who want no part of single payer are sick and tired of the insurance companies, the surprise billing, and the way that things are going. And I keep telling politicians, you guys better figure it out, as you guys are both feeding from the trough, because at some point in time, people are going to go, we're over it. It's just too confusing and it's too frustrating. Competition, we need. But there's so many things that we could be looking at, but we make so many things political, which automatically puts up roadblocks, giant walls, force fields, and everything else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, tweet at us. Take some time to check out Chad Benson Show TV, which is on the YouTube. We try to put a video up every day. We do a lot of Facebook living as well. Chad Benson Show is on your Facebook. Trump court still going to go on. Trump supporters.
He's got 70 million people who got his back, and we don't want a concession speech until we know that every legal vote was counted.
Honestly, I don't know if there's a lot Joe Biden can do to unify the country. I think it's up to the country itself. I think it's up to the people in America. We have to stop looking at one another's differences and try to find some common ground. You know, at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we have to start acting like it.
If he could be fair, and if he could listen to us, the working class people that are paying the taxes and paying their salaries instead of just handing everything out, I think we could all get along. I do. It is what it is. There's nothing else we'll be able to do. If he files lawsuits and they find that everything was legal, then you just have to let it go. I mean, that's what you have to do. Just let it go.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people feel that way. You know, yes, do you have people, you know, people saying, well, what are all these people, they're going down to places and they're marching and and I think a lot of that it's cathartic. Right? They're going they feel that they're doing something to help, but they're also sharing in their anger and, you know, a bit of their misery with one another. And this is what they need to do. Look, this is going to play itself out in the court system. Now, whether Trump has a chance or not, I couldn't tell you. Most legal scholars I've talked to, we're going to have hopefully one or two on at the end of the week, as soon as it gets a little bit more clear on where they may be taking this, feel like that there's very little chance. And that mostly this could be a fight for votes in the future and how we fix a system that has its flaws, which is understandable. And I tell everybody out there as a Democrat, you guys whined, bitched, and moaned for 4 years, tried to undo that election for 4 years. Hillary's still griping about that election 4 years ago. So 7 days into this election, I think you can give people a little bit of runway here in how they feel. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Raycon's best earbuds around, E25s. So, Ray J put together this company. We've talked about it. It's amazing. People ask me what's the best thing about it. Somebody actually wrote me today on the old Instagram and said, you know, what do you like best? I said, it's all about the fit. The fit makes everything else that much better. the bass, the sound design, the 6 hours of talk time, the seamless Bluetooth pairing, all of that stuff is amazing. But how those things fit in your ears really shape the entire feel and sound. And that's why I love my E25s. I'm going to go hit some golf balls later. I'm going to go do a little bit of working out. I'll have them on, and I never worry about them falling out. I never worry about any of those things. There's no wires. There's no stems. I'm not pushing them back in. It is great. And the price point is amazing. You know, this holiday, you're looking around, you're like, what can I get myself, my kids, this, that, and the other? The E25s are so affordable, well under $100. They're stylish, they're cool, they're comfortable. The noise isolating fit is awesome. And you have a chance to try them. 45-day money-back guarantee. Try it for yourself. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Put them to the test. The best earbuds around. Well under $100, and I'm saving you 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Try it for yourself. I believe you're going to love these things. You're going to say, Chad, I love these things. I know you will. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Alex Trebek passed away over the weekend. We were talking yesterday because, as we all know, look, he was amazing all those years, what he did and how he took on his end of life in front of the world.
In 2019, Private Trebek started to fight a public battle.
It was not devastating news to me.
He openly shared his diagnosis with viewers.
This week, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Throughout my life, I've always wondered about how courageous a human being I was. I could be scared to death, and I'd still have to deal with it. But I'm not scared to death, so maybe I am courageous.
He became an advocate for early detection.
And he fought it hard. Passed away over the weekend, 80 years old. What a life. Working into his 80s, and they've got shows all the way through Christmas. But the show does have to go on. And the question is, who's going to be the next host? Apparently, George Stephanopoulos is almost lobbying in some ways from what people are saying for it. I was just trying to think yesterday, and I was like, I can't believe that. I said, well, look, this is the way it's going to be. You're probably not going to pick an unknown. I wouldn't think. But it doesn't mean you have to pick a game show host. The traditional. And we've seen that. And you know what? I also think there's a lot of people out there that look and go, wow, man, Drew Carey's killing it. He's working like 20 days a year. Maybe that might not be the worst thing ever. So now I don't know if you want a comedian because it's a little bit more intellectual. So Stephanopoulos, I said Rob Lowe. I think Rob would do a hell of a job. Right in that wheelhouse. But I know he's got one of those he's got a show. Some sort of show where there's, I don't know, he's a fireman. That's all I know. Is it that? Is it like, who would you choose? Could it be Ken Jennings? Would he be like up for the gig? He's the most famous of all of them, who has been a competitor. And people are like, I can't believe you. No, you talk. Trust me, they've been having this conversation, and he's probably had some input on some of the people. They've probably said, because even if he didn't pass away, he's 80, and he wasn't always sure about how long you wanted to do this. I can't believe that would happen. Of course it does. That's the world that we live in. You're not stopping the show. But it's so early. Well, they got to get ready. And he's filmed up through there. I don't know about Stephanopoulos. And partly because I think you want somebody who's not political. And there will always be a group of people that will always look at him as you worked with the Clintons. So, I don't think so. Ken Jennings might be in the lead. I wondered if he'd want the gig. I mean, you think he would want the gig? I would say yes. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Other names that have thrown their hat, I guess, into it. They've actually even gone out and done a poll. Betty White was one of them. You're not doing Betty White. But Ken Jennings, Alex Faust, Laura Coates, Betty White. I think they would like somebody who's got a little staying power. No offense to Betty. And 2020 has been literally a killer for everybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us an angry letter.
Lennon wrote the letter to Tom Bonfield in Kentucky, who wrote to the former Beatle about his religious beliefs. Bonfield said that when he listened to the album Imagine, it conveyed a feeling of hopelessness to him. The handwritten letter by Lennon, dated October 1st, 1971, says, "Listen, brother, why don't you Jesus freaks get off people's backs?" In the accompanying letter of authenticity by Bonfield, he says he aimed to be helpful and non-threatening, but apparently he hit a sore spot with Lennon. Online bidding through RR Auction starts at $2,500.
Yeah, it's because you're probably talking to Yoko. By the way, it was yesterday in 1966 that Yoko Ono ruined the Beatles. That's when they met. Is it safe to say that that's what happened there? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hey, you're in the most famous rock band in the history of time. This is the lady from The Ring. You guys are going to love each other. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Give us a while here in the news media, because, we got to learn how to quit the other person, right? It's like a breakup. We got to get the other president, the other out of our phone contacts. I'm just here to tell you it's going to be okay.
My goodness. Sounds like he needs rehab. I think they all need rehab, all the media. What are they going to do? We're going to have one of those shows where Don Lemon and like Morning Joe and Cuomo and Rachel Maddow and everybody's called into a room, like a hotel. There's going to be that bald guy there who's going to tell him, hey, these are all your family and friends. And they're going to read him a letter. And you're going to have to go to Trump rehab. What are you going to talk about? I don't know. I'm sure they'll talk about something. I mean, I think their hope is that Trump doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, in an ideal world, Trump doesn't go anywhere. He sticks around and not just on the fringes, makes his voice heard loud, goes out and continues to do what Trump does, which is be that, as Mitt Romney put it, that 900-pound gorilla in the room. And that would be their dream. That's their hope. Because if you're going to talk politics and it's Joe Biden, you're not saying this, Joy.
What is it that Superman always said? Truth, justice, and the American way is back. I don't think that people understand. Yeah. Everybody should be happy because just picture in your mind what it could have been if he had won. It would have been the end of this country. It would have been the end of democracy. And I am not exaggerating. I
don't think that's true, but we can have differing opinions. Obviously, from your view. See what I did there? You're insane. But that right there is crazy. Do you remember when Obama was president? It was like, he's taking our guns and it's all Sharia law. It's like the end of democracy. So let me throw something out at you. Okay. All right. I just want to throw something out at you guys. Are you with me on this? It's the end of democracy. But he wants to see if he gets a second term so he can end democracy then? Because if you're going to end democracy, then you figured you would just do it kind of early into the game so you could have that authoritative power that you so crave. More from Don Lemon.
We got to talk about the infant. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. He's going to have to go. That's it. He's out. He's no longer president in January. He lost. He is the loser. He was fired.
He was fired. This is what a lot of people think Trump will say.
I'm not leaving. The show goes on. This is my home. They're going to need a wrecking ball to take me out of here. They're going to need to send in the National Guard of SWAT team because I ain't going nowhere. Damn.
That's DiCaprio from The Wolf of Wall Street. I believe Trump will eventually, once all this plays out, mind you, it's still got a ways to go. They're going to play this thing out across the board for all that it's worth. He has every right to do what he's doing. You may not like it. You may think it's too much. You may think it's ridiculous. You may think but he has every right to pursue the legal channels that he's pursuing. And that's that. I mean, we've always thought it was going to go there. We have. I've always thought it was going to go there. And if this betters our system, because it does show flaws in the system, then that's a win as well.
The president has every right to look into allegations and to request recounts under the law. And notably, the Constitution gives no role in this process to wealthy media corporations. The projections and commentary of the press do not get veto power over the legal rights of any citizen, including the president.
Yeah. Mitch McConnell. Schumer, of course, being Schumer, going after Trump, also criticizing his fellow Republicans, not his fellow, but there's colleagues, right? Like you're all senators. You may have an R or D, but the reality is this is the job that, we're all doing the same gig here.
I have been heartened to see a few of my Republican colleagues. It's 3 I congratulate the winning ticket. But too many, including the Republican leader, have been silent or sympathetic to the president's fantasies. There is no law or requirement that President Trump concede the election or leave the office of the presidency with grace. But as history prepares to write the final few sentences on the Trump presidency, it will surely note how this president treated our democracy on his way out the door.
Remember, you guys played a game for 4 years where you're still continuing to bitch about what took place when Hillary she ran and lost. And you guys have tried to undo it. And the way that you've come at democracy at times has been absolutely ridiculous. I don't remember. In fact, let me rephrase this. I think the only Republican that had anything to do with Trump when he ran and won was Tulsi Gabbard, if I'm correct. I think she was it. So slow your roll. Lindsey Graham.
Networks do polling that's way off. We ought to call them into Congress and ask them, how do you do it? And Mitch McConnell and I need to come up with an oversight of mail-in balloting. If we don't do something about voting by mail, we're going to lose the ability to elect a Republican in this country.
Is that possible? No. I would think that would be ridiculous. I mean, anything is possible. Even Trump going to court and winning potentially is possible. Highly unlikely. The Republicans did extremely well in this 2020 race. It was a referendum on Trump, his personality in many ways, the way he's handled the coronavirus, and his personality was a big part of it. But you go look down ballot across the country. A lot of state legislators won. Some flipped houses. You had governors win. So, and you picked up seats in the House, and there's still seats out there that you're probably going to pick up, and you still have 2 big races, and all you need is one of those 2 in Georgia to see you control the Senate. So, but yes, I agree with Lindsey there. I think we need to look at some of the oversight in the way that we do mail-in balloting. I got no problems with that. And it's everything is voter suppression. Everything. Trump came out last week. These polls are so wrong, it's voter suppression. Stop with the voter suppression. At no point in my life did I ever think, man, I saw a poll today that says my guy's going to lose, so I'm not going to vote. No. If you're going to vote, you vote. Period. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Great news yesterday.
We believe that we are in good situation to have up to 50 million doses this year globally. And I believe we are in a very, very good situation to have 1.3 billion doses globally. I think that likely, based on impact, that will be the greatest medical advance in the last 100 years.
Yeah, that's the CEO of Pfizer right there, Albert Bourla, talking about how big this is and very honest about what this can do.
90% is a game changer. 90%, now you are hoping to have it.
90% game changer. How fast? That's the big thing. That's what everybody's asking. If this is real, and I do believe it is, they've not published their findings. They have released some stuff, but not everything. But I talked to 2 doctors yesterday who said, look, you're not going to put this stuff out in the way that they've done it without you feeling confident enough that you have found something here that is big. And then it's just how fast can we get it out?
Right now, we know that what the company will do, very likely, in fact, I'm certain they'll be doing it, is putting in soon, within the next week and a half or so, for an emergency use authorization and ultimately for ultimate approval of the vaccine, which means if that goes along smoothly, that we may have doses that we're able to give to people by the end of November, the beginning of December, probably well into December.
Which would be great. Well into December. That changes everything. What does that do? Well, let's just say that does happen, as Dr. Fauci says. And then by March, April, May, it start really to rolling out across the country. And between now and then, think about this. There's Eli Lilly believes they have an effective, while not simple, an effective treatment for coronavirus. You would go into the doctor's office, and they even talked about having pop-up areas where it's IV, and they give it to you through the IV, and they believe this thing is a huge game changer as far as mitigating the damage the coronavirus can do. And in doing that, it makes your recovery time that much quicker, which is that's also a game changer. So between these two, then remdesivir and probably, I would assume, at least 1, if not 2 more vaccines by the end of the year, whether they'll be 90% effective, I don't know. The Moderna one apparently is very similar to this one. But between those, I'm thinking middle of the summer, you will start to see us get back to a normal pre-coronavirus way of life, which is kind of what we're all looking for. Absolutely. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from all of you. MyPillow. Wow, what a deal. What a deal. I love my MyPillows. Jack has his MyPillow, takes it everywhere. He's got a Stow and Go, like I have a Stow and Go. But I love my MyPillow. It's awesome. They've got a premium sale going on right now. Awesome. Great gifts. Normally, $69.98 for MyPillow. $29.98 right now. King size, just $5 more. Made in the USA. It's never going to go flat, ever. MyPillow, I've had mine. I've got 3 or 4 of them. Got my Stone. None of them have ever gone flat. When I travel, I take it everywhere I go. When I'm on a plane, I've got it. It's awesome. Plus, buy now, and Mike's going to extend his 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021. So less than $30 for a MyPillow. And you got the extension on the 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener special, use promo code Benson. You're going to find the amazing offer as well as a bunch of other deep discounts at MyPillow. It's got so many things, the dream sheets, the mattress toppers, you name it, they've got it. But a huge deal right now. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson to get this great deal. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
You ever wanted to quit a job and do it in spectacular fashion? Shanna Ragland decided she was done with her gig at Walmart.
Attention, all Walmart shoppers, associates, and managers. My name is Shauna from Cap 2, and I just want to come on here and say Henry is a racist, stinky prick. Giovanna is racist. Elias is a prick of a manager. This company fires black associates for no reason. This company treats their employees like shit. And Jimmy from Sporting Goods, Joseph the cashier, Larry from Garden Center. You are all perverts. And I hope you don't talk to your daughters the way you talk to me.
She's not done. She's not done. So she's quitting, obviously. She's very, very unhappy with the management. I wonder if she's going to try to stay.
Shout out to Ariel. Love you for getting me this job a year ago when I needed it most. Fuck the managers. Fuck this company. Fuck that big lazy b****, Chris Price. I fucking quit. I'm out.
I'm out. Mic drop. She was not happy with the management. She's not happy about a lot of things. She decided to let it be known, and she bounced. But you can't do it anymore just by going, I'm done. You have to do it in a major, large way. You have to put it on TikTok. And that's what she did. She threw up on TikTok. So she got 24 million views. She says she doesn't regret quitting in the way she did, but hopes that her message is heard by more than just those who were shopping at the mart at the time. Of course, Walmart says, Walmart is committed to a diverse and inclusive workplace. We take every allegation very seriously. We have spoken with the person in the video and are actively looking into her claims. Walmart does not tolerate any form of discrimination or harassment in any aspect of said business. Well, that's good. I love how everything, though, is all TikTok, though. Like, that's just what it is. Thinks highly of herself, though. You guys are all perverts. Oh, my. That was a good way to do it, though. Right? Because you got the whole floor. This is your chance. Let's do it this way. If you're going to go out in style. If that's what you're going to do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Obviously, Trump exhausting every single thing that he can in hopes and prayers that there is some way that will show him a glimmer of an opening to remain as president.
Determined to pursue every possible legal challenge to try to overturn what are still unofficial election results. I don't see any prospect that that is in any way feasible, but his team will pursue challenges in several states. And then I think the end game here is that at some point you reach a point where the courts have said that's it.
And I think that if and when that time comes, I think Trump will look around and goes, we tried everything. And maybe, just maybe, there is a fix along the way. Because I do, my complaint about this hasn't been whether or not that hundreds of thousands of millions of people have voted illegally. Or hundreds of thousands of dead people have voted. But I do have some issues with the way that some of this stuff was handled. And I'm okay with bringing that to the forefront. We rushed some of these systems that weren't prepared. And that some of these cities weren't prepared to handle. And I think that we can make it better. And I think every time we have one of these elections, we can revisit what worked, what didn't work, so we can move forward. It shouldn't be that hard. But Trump believes that there is, somewhere I think he believes there is a hope. But I don't know if he does. I really don't. I just think that for somebody like him, it's going to have to be him. It's going to have to be him that makes that decision. And he's going to have options after this. And his options is starting the media company, which he explored even before he got into politics. And the other side of it is being a kingmaker for the Republicans. Can he do that? I think he could. Will the Republicans welcome him with open arms? It's hard not to say that he still won't have big power. I think he will, and he can be a kingmaker. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, follow along, as always, across all the social media. We love when you guys participate. Be good, be safe, have a great day. Don't argue with one another. Come and find some commonality. And you know how you do that best? With a taco, because it's Tuesday. That means we eat tacos. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.